Route 6 Pennsylvania is my gateway to the West. It's a very pleasant drive through farmland and little towns like this. This is Smethport, Pennsylvania. This area is called the Mansion District. Money was made here in the timber industry. This town's priorities are interesting. The mansions aren't really being well kept, but Smethport is very proud of being the birthplace of the Woolly Willy toy, which is featured prominently on the Welcome to Smethport sign. Woolly Willy is that toy where you use a magnetic stick to move around metal shavings to give a bald guy hair and a beard. I remember it well. So far, Pennsylvania roadside attractions consist of Amish buggies, Amish wagons, and Amish people walking and trying not to step in horse shit. I'm in a town called Kane, Pennsylvania, and they have a cool wolf sculpture here next to an old train depot, which is now a museum. This is dedicated to a man named McCleary, who saved the American wolf from going extinct by creating a sanctuary. It was the first time that anyone protected an endangered species in this country, and it started a very important movement for animals. Kane, Pennsylvania seems to be thriving. Some of these little towns are faring better than others. This town was named after a Civil War general who had a son that became a surgeon who removed his own appendix and repaired his own hernia. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I see you, Pennsylvania DOT. Look at what Penndot has for us. Some old traffic and street signs. We created a sculpture flower garden. Speed limit signs. Roses made from stop signs. These were done by local art students. What do you think, Shrimp? Pretty cool, huh? Love it. Leaving Pennsylvania, and here's a final piece of artwork for us. A woolly mammoth metal sculpture. Woolly mammoth bones were actually found right here in 1958. So these giant elephant-sized creatures inhabited this area before they went extinct. Their tusks really were that long. They say there are woolly mammoth bones still in the lake. They think the animals walked on the lake when it was frozen, and sometimes they fell through the ice, and their remains have been there for 14,000 years. Welcome to Ohio.
Welcome to Ohio.
This little city is Warren, Ohio, and they've got some cool stuff here for us. This is Dave Grohl Alley. Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana and founder of the band Foo Fighters. Warren is his hometown. This art installation was the idea of a Warren police sergeant who thought this would inspire kids towards something other than crime, which had gotten bad in this town because of lack of opportunities. Pick up a guitar instead of a gun. Grohl's music is grunge, so an alley is appropriate. These are the world's largest drumsticks. Very cool. That food truck smells really good. Yup, times must be tough in Warren, Ohio. A plywood window. Warren, Ohio is also the hometown of astronaut Neil Armstrong. This spot is where Armstrong took his first airplane ride as a 5-year-old. I wonder if he had a Happy Meal afterwards. This is a replica of the Apollo moon module that took Armstrong to the moon in 1969. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. They even reproduced his moon surface footprints. And this was created by retired steelworkers, proud of their hometown hero Neil Armstrong. We've got a giant rocking chair. It's so big, though, that I'd need a ladder to get my dog up there for a photo op, so that won't be happening. This chair has been here for a long time. Then at some point they decided to make it a September 11th memorial and painted it red, white, and blue and added an eagle. I don't know what giant chairs have to do with September 11th. Logic isn't necessary for a roadside attraction. They're just things that make you go, huh? We're at the center of the world, according to this sign, which happens to be in Ohio. The reason that this is deemed center of the world is that in the 1840s, a man named Randall Wilmot thought that this village here would be the next New York City, and it would be even bigger than New York City, which clearly didn't happen. But they do have a dollar store, so they've got that going for them. Google Maps is great when looking for these roadside attractions that don't have an address. I just punched in center of the world, and Google Maps took me right to this sign that I was looking for. No, I'm not in New York City. This is Newton Falls, Iowa. She used to be in front of the Liberty Tax Service, and I guess the town acquired it at some point as a patriotic statement. Some lady was shaking her head at me photographing the statue. Maybe locals don't like this Statue of Liberty. Based on the signs I'm seeing in this part of the country, they probably would prefer a giant Trump shrine over this lady letting in them damn immigrants. This is Kent State University. I want to see the memorial for the 4 students that were shot and killed by National Guardsmen while protesting the Vietnam War. A giant brain. The protest had gotten heated because Nixon promised to end the war, but instead he ramped it up. College students were no longer exempt from the draft. I was born in '63, so I saw coffins draped in flags coming back from Vietnam every night on the news for my entire childhood. Imagine being an 18-year-old and seeing those coffins, thinking that could be me next. George Bush banned showing coffins during the Iraq War. Ignorance is bliss. I remember that song by Neil Young about 4 dead in Ohio being a constant reminder of this incident, and that photo of a dead student on the ground and a woman screaming. Daffodils. In 1990, 58,175 daffodils were planted, representing every service member killed in Vietnam. This is a scaled-down version of the Daffodil Memorial. Gotta be mindful of these bridges. My van is 8.5 feet tall. On this spot in 1940, a freight train collided with a gas-powered rail car called the Doodlebug, killing 43 people. It was a huge disaster here, and they were never able to figure out why it happened. The only theory was that the engineer might have had some carbon monoxide poisoning that affected him mentally. This is a fairly new monument for a tragedy from 80 years ago. Apparently, 3 7th graders decided to raise money for this in 2005. How great is that? Oh, just a giant Campbell's tomato soup can, twice as tall as those tractor trailers. This is off the beaten path here, so unfortunately only people that work at this company get to enjoy this, and crazy people like me. I've been waiting for this. It's so relaxing driving through farm country. A goodbye present from Ohio, a giant bull. Chihuahua for scale. Even bigger than the van. Ohio roadside attractions did not disappoint.